Hi there everyone and welcome to Thinking Agile, a place where we take real world problems when trying to implement Agile within the working environment. We will then submit those to our professional Scrum Trainers who will then explain what methods they would suggest to use within that scenario. You can submit your questions to agile@adaptdev.co.uk or you can go to our website and use our contact form. We will then try to notify you if your question has been answered.
Hello. So the question that's come up this time is, what techniques have we used to shift teams from vertical to horizontal slicing? And I think maybe the original questioner in posting this is probably, I think it may be transposed and gotten the wrong way around. So don't really just over project that. I think that's probably the case. So we'll give a bit of an overview on what we mean by slicing the cake anyway in this one, and you can see the background here. And then we'll have a look at maybe moving from what we'd say component to feature-based, which is the usual idea of moving from horizontal based on components to delivering features based on a full vertical slice through all the components. Right? And we'll go from there. All right. So that exactly said, what do we actually mean by vertical and horizontal slicing, right? So not using a whole load of slices, slides here, but you can see in the one up on the background there, we've got the cake in it. That's the cake of all the stores we're looking at. You've got a couple that are named: pay order with a credit card, pay order with PayPal, pay order manually. And you can see how those slices of those cake could be made up with a type of back-end call to your payment merchant, an API that handles between the front end and the back end, and the front end interface. So you can see where that then becomes a back end, an API, and a front end type of architecture of layers of the cake with some cream in between, right? And that's what we would have said would have been component-based kind of slicing of the cake. So deliver the back end, deliver the middle tier, the business logic, then deliver the presentation layer. And that's incremental delivery, but it's not incremental and iterative, right? As you know, it's what you're not delivering is the value in each slice, right? So we would suggest you move from doing that componentized horizontal slicing to looking for features or customer journeys, value slices, whatever way you would wish to name it, that go through the full component slices and deliver the ability for the user to carry out some type of interactivity with you, right? So pay order with credit card. So you're delivering everything from the presentation layer through the API connectivity layer to the back end that actually does the transaction for you, and then back to respond to the customer whether they've successfully paid or not paid, and you've got your money, right? So that's how we're moving from that. So within that, you then need a team that's capable of doing all that, right? So a lot of this originates at the point where you're, as an organization, are devolving your teams down, whether that be through self-organization or through management selection of who's going to be the members on the team. Obviously, our preference would be for self-organization. So you can see then that moving to vertical slicing based on features of the product really requires that you think of team selection and that vertical slices at the beginning of team selection during that. You know, so if you're going to have to deliver back-end API and presentation layer, then whether they're self-devolving teams or management selected teams, you can't have a team that's just full of back-end developers, or you can't have a team that's only full of people who've ever done web pages and no one's ever written any back-end code that connects to a database or anything else. So that's why moving to feature teams, straight away you've got to start thinking that line. We need full stack developers is probably the case term. So now you might then start thinking based on, well, consideration you could take into, well, what's the value areas we could deliver? There's a slice. Is there a risky slice that if we don't deliver that piece of functionality, then the whole product fails? And you could choose to deliver that slice based on that, and then deliver it based on risk. What's the features that are going to be our key to our stakeholders? What's going to bring our customers with us? Is there any one that's going to make our customers a prime mover to help us build the product? Because if the quicker we can get them using it, the quicker we're getting their feedback and actual live feedback with them using the product. Is there a sense of, joined up with that sense of urgency? Is there anything based on geography that needs to be taken into account? And is there any necessities or anything that's going to be done based on regulation and regulatory? Do you have to add an equivalent of something like GDPR? GDPR was actually a rather simple one, but there has been other regulations that's come in from government that's meant across the full stack. And if you think back to, we're looking here at payment services. If you think back to when the flaw was found in the SSO system, and attackers were able to go into that and get card information, think of all the urgent PBIs that appeared on people's backlogs to go in there and fix that at all levels, whether from presentation to API to the back end, and get that bug patched up. So that's how we start thinking. How do we then move teams to it? You start with, you build your teams to actually be able to deliver that type of work, right? And then you start slicing the product in order to deliver work for all those team members in that way. So don't just think how we break our products down based on components. You've moved to being a features. So break the product down based on that feature slicing through the vertical slicing of it. And by doing that, you've made that choice to move that way. You've got your team working in that way and build the skills up with them in order to be able to do it. But that's probably the key element to that. You've got to think that from the beginning, that we are moving to feature slices or vertical slicing through delivery of a product, and not componentization. Componentization will inherently leave you with a multitude of dependencies in order to deliver the full product. And you'll have to manage the dependencies between those component-based teams as much as you would in any waterfall. And you won't realize any of your value until the full thing is delivered in the same way on a waterfall. And that's the compelling argument to move towards feature teams. Okay, thanks, Bye.